Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our today's tutorial. I'm Michael Kaiser, Director of Product Management at Kathrein Solutions, and I will guide you through the next 15 minutes to talk about the new features for the Kathrein readers. We have a big reader firmware Linux update in front of us, and this is what we want to share with you. And today I want to present the new features, the new options we will share with you, and I think it's a lot of very interesting topics for you. Let's have a look. These are the software packages which you can find on our webpage. We will have a new reader firmware for all Kathrein RAIN RFID readers. It's a version 3.14.02. We'll have a new Linux for all the Kathrein readers with X500, for example, the ARU 3500 or RU 4500. You may know that we have our standard RFID board, and on top we have, with this X500 readers, certain Linux board where you can run your application, where you can run software to optimize your application. For this Linux, we have a new version. It's a 3.50.08. We have a new ReaderStart software, again for all Kathrein readers, the 3.50.10. The ReaderStart software to test and parameterize the reader. For all Kathrein readers, you can use this software. We will have a new API with some examples, including .NET 8. If you develop your software in a .NET environmental, it's a 3.50.06. So, which new feature we can offer, which we can share to you? We have a new smart reader mode, which gives you the possibility in a very powerful automated way to collect data to increase your read rate. For this, we have optimized the firmware and the ReaderStart software. This you can use also with your application, set the reader in a certain smart reader mode, and the output and the result will be improved. We will have a new NTP server selection. We have multiple selections now, which gives you the opportunity to connect to several different NTP servers to optimize in case of NTP server is down or you have no connection with this. We have a feature called cutoff time, which I have already presented in one of my last videos. For example, with the ARU 8500, where we have direction detection, especially when you have unwanted text, you have a movement on a gate, an ingoing and outgoing gate, and you have maybe some text, some unwanted text in parallel, which you want to skip. In this case, cutoff time can be very helpful for this application, but we have seen in more and more application, it's helpful to speed up the output. And you will see some examples and some way how to handle this with the expert settings 1. We have a new feature for logging. This means we can use the log rotate to log the Linux board, the Linux commands based on the X500 readers. Yeah, so ARU 3500 or RU 4500. Some ideas how to do this and the benefits we'll share later. And of course, we have now the extension to .NET 8. As I said, when you are used to develop your software in a .NET environmental, then with .NET 8, you can use this for the firmware, for the leader, and for the API. And we have some general improvements which we will share with you. Let's start with a smart reader mode, and maybe this is a used window you know from our ReaderStart software. We have 8 typical applications, and you have to do some settings with this, manual selection, assignment of parameters. You have some faulty possibilities if you choose the wrong one in the wrong order, and you have a lot of many different parameters to watch. Meanwhile, the transponders get more and more powerful, and on the other side, we see more and more application. And of course, we can increase this window and have 10, 15, 20 applications and 20 different settings. But we have seen that we can reduce all this problem to a certain and simple way. And this is a smart reader mode. You see a very clean mode. We have now 3 selection points. 2 for the smart reader mode itself. It's static, as you see in the middle. This means texts are not moving, and dynamic texts are moving. The third one is for direction detection. For example, if we use crosstalk, but in all other cases, we would recommend please use these two smart reader mode settings for static or dynamic. Everything else will be handled in a very intelligent way in the background. And if you select statics, the only thing you have to do is to count your text, how many transponder you will use, and then you apply this. I said, okay, so many checks I have, apply this, and the system is optimized for this. This means we have in the background an optimized, automatic optimization, how to use the transponder, how to use the settings, how to address the transponders, how to count the transponders will be done automatically. We reduce the possibility of errors, because it's very clean and very simple selection. And of course, we have also the optimization for the output. We have a faster output, and the first output is very often less than 1 second. Especially if you have a lot of text, let me say 300, 500 or more text, this get more and more helpful to use smart reader mode. If you have only 1 or 10 text, you will see the same behavior as you maybe have before. This means smart reader mode gives you the intelligent way to optimize your profiles and setting with the aim of reading good text as fast as possible. And you will have very often in your application a lot of many good text. They are in the field, they are nowadays very sensitive, and that's why we will have a lot of text. And this means we have to read them very quick. And on the other side, in all the application, we have always some weak transponders, with some limitation because of metal, because of liquids. And in this case, we have to switch the mode to a very sensitive mode. And this is the background of the smart reader mode. We handle these different modes in the background in a dynamical way, very intelligent, to optimize the reading. As I said, the default of smart reader mode will be for static transponders, and if you only a few transponders, we will have similar the same behavior as with the current ReaderStart version, with the current firmware. But especially if you have a lot of transponder, a lot means 100, 200, 500, it could be helpful. It could really be more powerful to use a smart reader mode. Especially when it comes to a faster output. Cutoff time will help you to reduce this time, because the standard says you have to read all the text and then you have to transmit the text, or the text data. We can now use the cutoff time to make a short break, very, very short, and collect the already read text. In many cases, the very good text, a lot of this very good text, and can transmit very fast. This gives you feedback that the system is running very, very powerful, because you have immediately a result. As I said, less than 1 second, or in 1 second, you have the first result, also when you have text population higher than 500. Very important for you to know is if you have a running system and because of some reason you want to use a new firmware, in this case, we recommend a reboot. This means do the firmware update on the used way, and then reboots the system, either with a power reboot or with a software reboot. And in this case, the stored parameters are set fixed. This means we don't change these settings. These settings can be used in the same way. Especially when you start a new application and when you start a new project, then we recommend do a firmware update and a factory default. In this case, all the parameters will be resetted as you have been used for the factory default, and the smart reader mode is active. You can recognize, and you see here in this picture, the smart reader mode is displayed here. So if you find in your settings smart reader mode with a communication profile 255, then you know smart reader mode is active, and the background the system is optimized to handle different text, weak text, strong text in a very powerful way. You can choose manually the profile to switch from profile 255 to 410 or any other profile you have used before. Or the more easier way is to do it automatically, because you can store all the settings of the reader to a file, And this we recommend each time when you have finalized your settings, you have an optimization of your system, and system is running stable, then you store this settings down, this configuration down, and each time you want to repeat this setting, then you can upload this settings, this configuration to a new reader, and you are quite sure the handling, the behavior is totally the same. So as you have seen with a smart reader mode, you can do it very powerful. With a smart reader mode, you can recognize with profile 255, you can reset manually, or you can upload a parameter set what you have stored before. And the previous application windows with 8 different applications with a lot of possible errors you can do is no longer available. Especially for the smart reader mode, I would be happy if you give me a feedback on this. So please test by yourself with your application. And as I said, especially when the tech population gets higher, you will get a very easy way to collect data in a very powerful way, very dynamically. And this helps you to make your system easier. Okay, if you have some question for the smart reader mode, please let me know. The next point we will share with you is the NTP server, and this is a common status up to now. When you connect to your reader with the NTP settings, you have the possibility to set NTP server for the reader, and you select an address for the NTP server. You select an interval, in our case 1 hour. And after 1 hour, so at the beginning when you set the NTP server, and after 1 hour, he will repeat this collecting of time. And in our case, you see it was successful. The update is now that we have the chance to select up to 5 NTP servers. So we have the chance to select more because sometimes the network is not able to handle this in this area, or the NTP server itself has a problem. Then we can see also here that we can test this. This means we can select up to 5 different NTP servers. And then when you set the time via NTP server, the system checks itself and said, okay, the first, the second was not successful, but the third was successful. You can repeat this test, and when you see number 1 and 2 is always failed, then you can remove it, you can delete it, and you can move NTP server number 3 to number 1 to speed up the system to find out the best settings, the best NTP server for your applications. The cutoff time, as you see here in this field, we have here the possibility to set now in a direct way. With the previous software, it was hidden in the expert setting 2, where you can select all the settings and type in for each antenna separately. Now we have it more easier to reach for you here for antenna 1, antenna 2, antenna 3, antenna 4. And of course, you can choose different settings for this cutoff time for each antenna. And this means that after this period of 250 milliseconds, the reading on this antenna will have a short break and switch to the next one. This means we collect the data after, in this case, 4 antennas. After 4 antennas has been read, we make a short break, transmit the data, and you have after 1 second already a first result. This gives you very fast feedback, especially when you have a high-tech population, and a standard reading, as a standard describes, takes 5 to 10 seconds or longer. Then within 1 or 2 seconds, you have already a first reply. Yes, system is running. Yes, you get a lot of data back, because at the beginning we read the simple and it's a powerful text. This means it's a good text in a very, very fast way. So we have, after a few seconds, already a very good result about the read result about the application, and know how many texts are in the field, how many texts we have read. For the log rotate, we have now a new window you will find in the ReaderStart for the Linux, that we can have the possibility to log all these Linux parameters, commands in the background. This means when you have an application running on the Linux, or when you have some other Linux activities, then you can log this file, it will be stored. And also for the GSMs, this is for some mobile communication readers, for example, the RU4570, where we have the connectivity to a mobile communication provider. All these AT commands will be logged that you can see in case of a handshake, in case of a connection. If something has been failed, you see exactly what was the order of the commands, what was the reply of the network, and maybe was an error which causes some problem, and this will be logged, and this makes the system the life easier because you see afterwards what's happening. You can rework either the settings or your application software to optimize this. What can we do? So we have the possibility to lock the Linux. We have a certain folder where the messages will be stored. And if you are not really familiar with this kind of logging, we would recommend to talk with our support team. Maybe you know our ticketing system. They can guide you how to handle this. If you are used to work with Linux logging, then you can use by yourself and find out these are the messages, these are the telegrams, and this you can use to optimize the system. For the GSM readers, and only for the GSM readers, of course, you can also select GSM logging. This means first you enable Linux logging, and then you enable GSM logging, and then all the AT commands between the Linux and the mobile communication network will be logged. And in case of an error, you can see exactly what's happened and where the problem is to optimize the system and to make the system running again. If you used to develop your software in .NET environmental, we offer now .NET 8 for the API, which gives you the possibility to develop a software in a very powerful way for different platforms, Linux, Android, Mac, and what else. Also, if you want to transmit your software directly on our Linux readers, on the X500 readers, then .NET could be a very powerful option. .NET 6 is now running out of service. .NET 7 is still running, and .NET 8 is now available. So here we support this, and please check this. You find here the download link where you can file all the folders and all the parts. If you have some questions about how to handle this, especially when you want to upload it on our readers, please let me know and send a ticket to our ticketing system or email direct to me. We have several general improvements which improves the stability of the systems and the error handling. And one very interesting feature I want to share with you also. In the past, it was a manual work of set different ports. So if you have 4 ports and I want to have the settings for all the ports in the same way, I have to select the first, I make the settings, I select the second, and make the same again. And what I can do now is if I find the settings for my first port, port number 1 or any other port, I press the right mouse button, and then I see this symbol. And when I press on this symbol, all the other ports, all the other activated ports will be shifted to the same level, to the same way. Yeah, this makes the system easier to install because then I install set up only one port. I press the mouse button, I activate this selection, and then I can set it, and immediately I have all the same data on all my 4 outputs. Okay, this is all for today. I hope you have seen some interesting feature. I think especially the smart reader mode can be helpful for you because it makes it easier for you to find the right settings, to find dynamical and optimized settings for different application. Don't worry that the application selector is not longer available anymore, but I think with this basic selection of static and dynamic, it's enough to select the system, and then you are more flexible in all kind of different applications which are new to us and maybe also not listed up to now. Then you have really the powerful system that the system is optimized in the best way, gives you the best result, gives you the best effective read rate for the system. So if you have feedback for me, especially for the smart reader mode, I would be helpful. But if you have questions to all the other features, or if you have a proposal for an improvement of our firmware, please let me know. Many thanks for your attention. Have a good time. See you soon. Bye-bye.